Hi. That'll be a great intro. How you guys doing? What's up, DF? So we got some housekeeping to do. It's mostly just make this guy stop raving because he's playing his attack animation for his walk animation. But that's just because the frame set got reordered when I updated it. Otherwise, things are looking pretty good. Obviously, Gorgoleth looks way better than it used to. Even this guy looks pretty good. Even though he's fucking doing what he's doing. He looks pretty good visibly. Nathricor is much improved. I just sat down the conversion for the Alcagelisk, which will be implemented at some point. We're actually kind of at a bit of an impasse. I did a bunch of graphics work off stream before starting. I redid the Southpaw, the Wyvern, obviously the Alcagelisk that I just mentioned. The Star Sovereign was yesterday, but I did that as well. That's obviously not implemented yet. I did the Exemplar yesterday. I think I even did the Empyrean yesterday. Certainly looks like it. Him and his tiny thrusters. Must be compensating for something there. But yeah, mostly the changes came in the form of the team color. The blue recolor bits are still in need of updating. That's why I didn't even bother doing them in the for the Exemplar. Oh yeah, I did the Clarion as well. So we're looking much better in the team color department than we were before. We also have a couple new wireframes. I'm trying to remember exactly what got implemented. We have this fucking whatever this is. It looks interesting. I don't know how well the wings really got added on in terms of the wireframe. I don't know what frame he used for this, but it looks kind of neat, I guess. For the Vorverlinks, that was all these wireframes that are new in the last week or so. They were made by June 3 Hong. Of course, he's got to have a 3 in his name. So you got the Centaur, Paladin, Madrigal, Wyvern, Southpaw, Savant. I think the simpler ones that he did, like for the Southpaw and the Centaur, feel pretty good, generally speaking, but some of the other ones got a bit busy as well. I'm not sure. And I haven't at all looked I haven't looked at like how they match up there, but nonetheless, it's good to see that we have those, even if they end up being replaced by higher quality ones later. We got them for right now, and that's a big boon. Now all I have to do is change this clown emoji's portrait, and he'll finally not be a crow anymore, which is its own degree of sad, but you know. We even have one for the Othsteleth, which I appear to have not implemented, but this guy does look better. I'm only now noticing the... I almost feel like those weren't there before, or like the original version of this graphic was just really bad or something. Because I do not remember these giant dicks that he's got sticking out of his face. Dude, this guy's an actual dickhead. I never would have expected it. But here he is. I don't remember that at all. That's why does it have giant penises? Also, as you can see, we have this issue where like I'm gonna have to remask the very harsh highlight parts of the team color, but that'll be for later. Gonna fly with the boys in half an hour. Apparently, we're gonna have a new guy wanting to join us, so you're getting my rear end prepared to sit on my joystick and ride out the storm. I think the only appropriate reaction there is the kiss_MM emoji. But have a good one. Hopefully, you guys end up not being destroyed. I remember you telling me that there's some really insane stories about check out my shadowless ramp. Hope you guys enjoy that. I remember you telling me some insane story about people who like couldn't even figure out how to get the game running or something. Or maybe I'm thinking of something else. Anyway, having looked at all of those graphics, I'm trying to think of what is left to convert. Oh yeah, Mesk released a Starcraft playthrough of the vanilla campaign. So I guess I'll have to download all this. Watch this later. Oops. Have to save link as the classic. Hey, save link as. Oh, there you go. Poor guy. Can't believe he had to suffer through vanilla, especially right after I did it. Yeah, so how exactly does that stuff work? Are you guys basically just tasking them with the like a performance test of them flying around or something? Oops. Because I remember hearing something about like you wanting to make sure that there was no shakiness to the whatever it was. Something needed to be shake proof, presumably for footage. Dude, the next update's gonna have some nice wireframe updates, team color readability updates. I'm trying to think of what other graphics need to be done since I just did the Alcaja list. Oh yeah, that was what I was gonna say. We have a bit of an impasse with regards to some of these decisions that I can make, basically, because I can either make it so that I can either decide to focus on the layout of the first or the fourth mission of Deliverance, or I can decide to try to add a bunch of units to HYDRA again, since I have the ability to do that. But I'm leaning towards the Deliverance one. We'll keep things consistent with the last little while and see where we go after that, just so that I don't muddy the waters too much here. All right, so I'm going to assume seven. Okay. Oh. I didn't actually write an animation for them attacking because they don't attack in this, but at some point I'll add that. Anyway, we'll see how that plays out. Seems fine. Obviously, there needs to be some fixes to the team color mask, but all in good time. Let me just confirm that we've got everything that we need to get from the from the database. Yeah, looks like it. I threw in the simulacrum wireframe, but I haven't tested it yet. I'm just gonna double check in the other category. Okay. Somebody, I think it was Kian, reported some error with the simulacrum's like attack to idle script issue or something. Let me see if I can. Go to repeat attack, ignore rest. Oh. Yeah, this should probably be go to simulacrum. Walking to idle. Is there? Okay. Yeah, I guess that's probably what happened, is it started playing the movement animation or something. So we fixed that. In theory. Alright, let's take a look here. So the Savant wireframe I plugged in, Irolith is in. That's Recore, Othsteleth, Old Irolith, Gorgoleth. Grand Library. I think that's everything. Oh, I have to do an overlay for what's his face? Iquare. Alright, so we have Southpaw, Paladin, Centaur, Madrigal, Savant, Aurora, Empyrean, Azazel. Yeah, okay. So everything that's been uploaded has been added successfully. Alright, so let's say fix Irolith and simulacrum animations. Okay, so we are good there. Now, let's see here. Yeah, I haven't looked too far into it myself. Okay. Now, I'm assuming he wants this to be a log file. Unit, HYDRA. Alright, so here we have Giga Shark front. Giga Shark spine. The Giga Shark might actually be the biggest graphic in the in Five Nations. And you know what it's called? The very creative, epic name of Flagship. Good job. I still can't believe it wasn't the other one that I was yelling at DF about earlier was because it's called Breaker. All right, save that. And what did he want? So one on the very rear. Um, Probably a way to get this completely correct with math or whatever, but I'm not doing that, so. Icor was asking for me to do some north-facing ramps earlier today. Maybe he meant something else, but he said reverse ramp, and I was like, I don't have the ability. Like, if I had the ability to do that, I would have made my own a long time ago. What a guy. All right. I'll see you later on, man. Thanks for popping in. Good luck teaching men how to fly. Of course, this is one of those bigger graphics that needs a you know, a new one per frame, right? So which means we are only halfway done after this one. Oh, it's okay. That didn't take too long at all. Oh, wait, this isn't a... Well, whatever. It doesn't really matter that much. Well, while that slowly transfers between drives, I shall be right back. So be right back. Hi. We're back. So I think, now that we're done with that bit of housekeeping, I can pretty comfortably work on the layout of this here map. So let's do that. All right, now let's get out of here. Maybe that was the bad way to do it. Oh, you know what we can do is instead of painting platform, we can just paint space. And that'll accomplish a similar thing. So even though I managed to create a bunch of tiles using this as an example, I don't think that the layout was particularly good. And that's the main problem for me. So I want to create a better layout. And I think the layout for the green Protoss is okay. Probably have to convert some of this into low platform over here, but I think it's salvageable without needing to redo it from scratch. Whereas I'm not as crazy about all of this stuff. So I do think I'll be going back to the drawing board here. Because one of the things that I was just going to do is I was going to outright ignore the terrain that I had already done in the hopes that I would come back and find a way to reverse engineer it or salvage it later on. But I don't want to do that. I want to leave this job half complete. So here's the deal. I'm pretty sure what we're going to do here is actually have low platform all over this place. Now, the only problem with that is like low platform is a perfect way to signify low dirt, the lowest dirt level. The problem being that we can't actually get as close as we would like to the edge because low platform doesn't blend with space. And we're trying to create a world, a sort of setup where we can play around with the layout and keep things flexible, basically keeping it in isometric terms before we start painting everything over. And this is a problem in this environment because I can't actually do the complete border work until I go into the manual layer because of the fact that the low platform doesn't blend well. And we can't change that. We don't have any control over that. So that's purely something I'm going to have to contend with as time goes on. And I don't have, like, I'm not hugely, staunchly upset about this. It is annoying, but it is something that I just have to deal with, I think. And I think we'll go from there. So what I've done right now is I've canvassed out the area immediately next to the base that we have here. And I think I'll have a bit of a high rise over here where there's going to be some medium dirt for where the medium platform is. And we'll just have to go from there as far as visualizing the way that the rest of the map ends up looking. I kind of want to make it so that it feels very... Like, I want this map to feel really challenging to properly siege into. And, like, it's meant to be very unwelcoming terrain. Well, I would like it to be unwelcoming terrain because it would reinforce the idea that you are nowhere near where you used to be. And one of the really, like, the ways to sell that kind of thought or sell that kind of idea to the player is by putting the player in a very unwelcoming and unfamiliar place. And the player has never played a game of Starcraft where they've been on an asteroid, right? They've never experienced that before because these are tiles that we're creating for the first time. At least not to my knowledge have there ever been any environments in the game that look like these asteroid areas do. And yeah, it's just, you know, just porting tiles from one tile set to another and then adding some filters on them, some a layer mask to mask out more and more of the subtile so that we can make it look like it's faded, but it's still very different aesthetically and viscerally than what the player is used to experiencing. And that's the big deal there. So my thought process at this point is that the player is put into a position... Oh, one sec. Okay, I'm back, but now I have food, so I have to eat that. But yeah, what I was saying a moment ago is that the player is going to start off this area in a very unfamiliar location because they've never fought on that kind of battleground before. But they're also, I think, going to be at a disadvantage terrain-wise, which will reinforce the idea that not only is this area unfamiliar because you've never experienced anything like this before, it's also hostile. It's also like in the previous missions, you'll have been attacked, but this is the first mission, I think, where not only do you have a very straightforward us versus them as the early game, where it's just a 2v2 in this case. There have been other cases where it's like a 3v3 or something, and it evolves into a free for all later on. Just like this one will evolve into a free for all later on. But most of the time, the player is not the main target. Whereas in this case, you are the front line. Now, you're the front line for one other player in some of the other maps, but there's always like another ally or a mutual enemy or something that is also fair game for attacks. But you are the front line. The only other threat to the enemies that's on your team, your ally, is behind you. So this is the mission where it really reinforces the idea that they are targeting you, which further implicates the terrain in selling the theme. That this is a hostile area, unwelcoming, unfamiliar, and that you got to bring your A game in order to make it out alive, that sort of thing. So just judging from that sort of approach, I think it will be a successful layout. I already see the tools that I can use to sort of coax those kinds of feelings out of the player and create those kinds of engagements where the player needs intelligent micro and maybe some scouting and stuff in order to really win. Like they are going to get destroyed if they don't bring their A game to this map. And it's not a matter of like, it won't feel like it's out of nowhere either because it's not like the earlier missions will have been pushovers or anything. So yeah, I think it'll be very nice. Stay tuned. This lunch break is almost over. This is definitely one of those ones that's just a bit confusing to get to. But should be possible. Now I wonder if maybe having this little lip in over here, this probably is a bit of a... I don't know. Is it a mistake? Because my thought process is that we would have access to pretty wide variety of options here. So one of the things that I'm the most worried about is having long corridors with nothing to do with them, right? And this long strip here is exactly that. Now over here, when we end up making the bridge tiles, which I guess I could also do pretty soon, those bridges will make it so that there's a pathway here, pathway here, pathway here, pathway here, in addition to the ones that are going to be attached over here and here and here. So this side is not as bad. But over here, if I don't find a way to seal this up in a way that feels satisfactory, we are going to be in for some difficulties, because otherwise it's just a giant strip with nothing going for it. Now, the other problem is that that almost forces you or necessitates that you connect a lot of shit to this strip to make it even worthwhile, and also make it so that it's not actually just a straight line. So, you know, you are basically taking a little bit of the line, and then you can pivot up or down, or you could keep going. So it's not a corridor as much as it's a series of connections that you can choose to, you know, take certain turns on. I'm just not sure if that's enough. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how that shapes up. But over here, I'm not so sure. Maybe this could be elevated catwalk? I don't know about the whole thing being elevated catwalk, though. And we don't have the north-facing ramp for it, either. I wonder if maybe... linking these wouldn't be a horrible idea. I don't know. It doesn't feel right. Yeah, something like that could work, potentially. Oh, I see. I lined it up with this. Yeah, trying to keep the whole symmetry angle is definitely going to be difficult, but I think it's worthwhile in the end. So maybe we don't actually offer a direct connection over here. Maybe we offer a pass-through, and that's it. And, you know, that could be its own degree of... Yeah, I think that'll probably be its own degree of better nature or whatever. Connecting it in. I was originally thinking that there could be a bridge between these areas, but I think that is a better idea. All right, so we've got some progress, promising stuff over here. I would probably slap a base over here and then have there be some sort of enticement towards going this direction. Okay. Yeah. I think this ends up feeling pretty good overall. The question is if I want this to be a bridge so that it's the same height level, a ramp down, or a ramp up. So, like, usually in this kind of environment, if you look at the other maps that I've made that don't have as many custom tile requirements for this sort of thing, this would just be a short ramp up so that you get a temporary positional advantage by going this route. Or if it's a shortcut, maybe it would be a ramp down so you get a disadvantage. Or maybe there would be no height advantage at all. And it would be like, it's a smaller pathway, but it's quicker. So if you have a smaller army, you can get there. It's like benefiting smaller rotations. Whereas the other path might be biased. Well, not against small rotations, but it would support additional larger army sizes to be able to move through there. So it could be something like that. I just don't know yet. But I'm pretty sure that we're looking to be in a better position on a structural level than what we were before. Now, again, the main concern I have is that if you don't, say you come down this path and you're starting to take this very long rotation and you don't choose to rotate over here, right? You are still walking a long distance down. And eventually you'll find a ramp down in here, and then like all of these choices. But I was already planning on adding some sort of asteroid over here, but without it feeling properly built into this area, I wonder, like, I guess I would need a position that you, like a choice you can make a little bit further down past this, and maybe a choice you can make immediately upon going down in this direction. So we would be talking about stuff here and here. It's sort of like interlocking. So you can take this path, or you can take this, go a little bit further and take this path, or you can go a little bit further and take this one, or a little bit further and take that one, or a little bit further and take that one. You know, that's kind of how we've already spaced it out, in a way. This is obviously a little bit of a spanner in the works in theory, because we've got this area that is not accessible, which might change, and then, you know, these areas which are also not accessible, which also might change. Because I could see a world where you take a bridge here and here into those areas and it still fits the bill. But the idea is that we're sort of like, as one pathway is ignored, another one opens up. And so you just sort of, you're walking until you get to the pathway you want to, but there's plenty of different options to pivot. And also plenty of different options for enemies to get the jump on you in that respect. So there's, I think, a lot of opportunity for that sort of thing to come together. The other thing is that I've made the determination recently that unless I significantly change how elevated catwalk works, which I'm not against necessarily, I will have to completely modify. I mean, I would have to keep the platform and not use elevated catwalk at all, because I have that space blend elevated catwalk that obviously needs a bit of work, but could, in theory, work as like a sort of manual access way to link areas together in a visually distinct manner. I made the center tile unbuildable, I think, and I have blends with high platform and south-facing ramps for low platform, but no north-facing ramps for going into not low platform, regular platform. This tile here, I've got blends for going into that from the south, but nothing from the north. So it would have to be all blended with high platform. But that's the thing, is that it is a high terrain thing. It's like its height level is the max. So if I did that as this little manual access path, you would actually have, like, you'd be going from a height advantage into a height disadvantage no matter where you went. And that's definitely a problem, I think. Yes, that is a feature of the base game, Blue Brid. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be Blue Bird. So we just have to figure out how we want to maintain access to the area over here and how we want to structure it. Because I was also thinking that maybe, like, right now this is kind of a, not really a dead end, but while there's this area over here that you can get yourself into once I get the bridges in, it doesn't really go anywhere after that, and I think I could probably extend it up over into that direction. I really like keeping it as if it's two separate asteroids, which is why I like the space gap here, and why I wanted it to be a bridge instead of just being low platform like over here. But I am a little bit concerned about the medium height level being achieved here. Like, maybe once you get in here, it lowers out into low dirt. Maybe all of this is low, and that kind of places a bit more power into this area for the defenders. So that could work. I don't expect that this will be an area that is heavily contested, but there probably will be a base over here for Deimos to take, so I would assume that, yeah, it actually will be partially contested anyway. So I do think that we'll be seeing some low platform over here. Not sure by how much, but at least enough for it to be how you blend into this area once we get that north-facing ramp done. Not sure what you mean. All right, so this will probably be a bridge in. I kind of like the idea of having a bit of interplay between some of these areas so that, you know, you see over here there's like this bridge, or there's this gap in the area over here that might be sealed with a bridge, but probably not. And so when you get over here through the bridge in this direction, right, you'll go between these two areas, and this will either allow you to go up towards the bases that I'll have over here, or down, or go like down here and around. But you know, the idea is that you could use it really if you just wanted to get a height advantage or some sort of terrain, like a different pathway into, you know, from the long boring corridor of doom. So because even if the player decides they are going to take the long boring corridor of doom all the way around, at least they have a bunch of options and they can make those snap decisions whenever they want to. This should probably be up a little bit more so that we don't risk hugging the edge of the map. That's a no-go right there. Okay. It is kind of a rock and a hard place situation over here because I want to show the sort of expanse of space here. I want that to be like a selling point, that thematically you realize you are surrounded in space, even though there are some asteroids and shit. But at the same time, I need to create a compelling level. So, you know, it's that balance you try to strive for, and hopefully it works out at the end. Pretty much all I got. We're going to have to add in the stack tiles for this one. All right. I think the selling point for most people is that you can play online matchmaking or whatever. So if you are interested in multiplayer, sure. But it's a pretty botched launch. You can't play mods. Well, you can play mods, but you can't really make the mods that people want to play. So for me, it was dead in the water immediately. Oh, you know what this could be, I guess, is rather than a bridge, since I'm going to be using that elsewhere, this could be like a ramp up or whatever. Okay. Yeah, I feel like this this is coming along. We have a base here. Maybe a base over here. Not sure. We're definitely limited on space over here, that's for sure. Okay. So now what we can do is we can have the base be wrapped up over here. And this area can be a nice little elevation point you can use. And also choke out anybody who's coming in from this area, but they'll have this bridge to go around and wrap around. Won't be the end of the world. Base will be over here, so this isn't going to help you leverage a fight to keep that base, but it might help you siege it, potentially. Yeah, I think that works out. Obviously, the base over here is going to be its own degree of... going to have its own amount of utility. Yeah. All right. Managed to get some work done there. I still don't really know what to do over there. Over here is probably just going to be some resources. I wonder... I don't think that they should directly connect. Oh, maybe they could, though. The problem is figuring out how to make it happen without the symmetry being trashed, as it were. Okay. Okay. So I'm not really sure about this area yet because I still don't know if I want to actually link the high platform to the asteroid. It feels like that should be something reserved for the outer area, like the outer regions. But on the other end of that, we could like this just becomes its own sort of endless, whatever it was, endless corridor of doom, right? So we need something that will make this area more interesting than a long corridor of doom. Obviously, we can have like ramps. There's going to be a stack type platform over here in all of these 6 holes that I've got going on. But the rest is anybody's guess. So I'm looking for overall we need cliff stacking tiles. I think I've compiled a short list of everything that I need. I think. We got to figure out what tiles we want here. So we would say like plating. Plating and subpanels and subplating for dirt. I was debating whether or not to include mud, but I don't think it's sensible exactly. So the question is, do we feel confident in this area right now? I'm honestly not sure about that. I think a bridge over here is warranted. But the main issue that creates is one where we're not really sure about how to make absolutely sure that the player can still answer to that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking we probably need... Yeah, I think a ramp right here will be fine for that. It also kind of makes this area a bit more deadly if enemy forces somehow manage to flank you all the way around here because they can go straight for your mineral line. But I still think that's okay. It's just a matter of like this actually gives you a bit more access to it. And I probably will throw a ramp, or a bridge rather, right there. I don't know if I'll keep the one right there then, though. I don't know, probably. We'll see. I think there was one, yeah, there were ramps planned over in those 3 areas too. So. Should be fine. So this will be low, ramping up into this area, whereas these two will be bridges with a ramp here. And then I think I wanted to throw a ramp somewhere else as well, probably right here. So there we made room for 3. I guess the base will be over here all the way on this side. The problem is that it's super vulnerable to drops, but... and you could get siege tanked over there too. Actually, I'm not sure if you can. Again, this is assuming the player brings them as close as they can to that area. No, even with the bonus range, I think if your command center was here, I think with the bonus range, they could probably take pot shots at your workers. But it should be fine otherwise. All right. So now the question is, do we even bother? Like, I feel pretty confident in what the player has, like the first player here, what that Protoss player's base area asteroid region looks like. I feel like that can be a finalized layout, generally speaking. But I should probably find a place for all of the expansion that they're supposed to have, their natural expansion, which I'm realizing now I kind of cramped it out of the map, it feels. Like, it could definitely be over here, but that is pretty far. Maybe that can be offset by the fact that, like, it's high yield or something. And also, it'll be, like, adjacent to some other bases. So, like, this will be a pretty critical area, because this is, like, the other enemy... Like, the enemies will be in the middle of the map, so the main areas that the enemy can attack you from with like as little latency as possible, so like the quickest approach for the enemies is going to be here, 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 and here. So like basically those can be consolidated into here and here. So you've basically got 2 main approaches to worry about. The base being over here is just like another reason why that you would want to lock it down. So I don't think it's terrible that it'll end up being fairly far from the player's base, because in a way that's just exactly what we want, to be honest. We'll just make it a nice high yield base, and I think all will be fine. Okay. So that should work out. It's 10 mineral fields. And then again, we can make the one over here pretty high yield as well. And then like the one over here can be high yield and or higher yield, maybe not as high as that, but the one over here might be a little bit less. I'm not sure if we'll have any ones that are like completely mineral only. I'm guessing not really. I think that'll be fine. It is kind of difficult to visualize the what the final product will be like, considering we are reliant on so many custom tiles, but I don't know. I don't think all is lost. All right. So we'll definitely toss a base over here. Maybe widen this path a little bit. A lot of the actual mineral placements are probably just going to continuously get shuffled as time goes on. Not very happy with that, but I'll tweak it later. Like I said, this will probably turn into a lower platform area. So we'll have like a line of separation over here. And I guess I should signify now. Something like this. Just so that I remember. And yeah, there was one other base that I wanted to confirm. Or draft the placement of. Now that, my friends, is a base that only a mother could love. Okay. Pretty good progress on the layout, I think. Quite pleased with that. So I think I will take a short break, and when I return, we will get started on some of the tiles that I have to do, that being the... I might do some low-hanging fruit to get myself into the tileset workflow before jumping straight into the bridges that I have to do. But the bridges are on the chopping block today. I would like to get those done and dusted. And if that works out okay, and I still feel the fire of productivity, I will look into actually starting to place some of the more final areas to try to basically finalize the draft of this region. But even without doing that, I think I could still come back to this and maybe draft what I'm going to do here and start drafting a bit more of the actual station itself. But mostly, I'm really looking to get to the point where we have a better understand, like better tiles actually used to get this layout drafted, so that I can get a better understanding of what needs to be done to make the layout better and more enticing. And like, it's really hard to do that when you don't have the ramps in, you can't do this and that, and like your borders aren't finalized and stuff. Like, it's just very, it's like when you think a thought but you don't write it down, you don't like finish really fully thinking it through, or you don't like bring it into the world in a physical way that you can look at. It's kind of like that. So we're going to try to flesh that out a little bit more. And I think I'll at least get some more like platform style drafts similar to what I've done now. I'll try to draft out more of the map, but it'll be after I work a little bit on the tile set, and I might not even be on stream. Nonetheless, I shall return momentarily. So, BRB. let's get some work done on tile sets. IMO. So we have the bridges. We got some custom tiles that we want to do. I don't think I'll actually need the low platform cliff stuff, but on the off chance that I do, I'll at least grab the tiles themselves. Okay, so let's minimize that. Low platform. Oh, those are inner corners. Solar panel is one of the more confusing tiles to look at. One thing that would definitely be cool, although I don't think I'll be using it in this particular map, but you know, it would be nice to have like plating for Rusty Pit. I'll definitely be adding plating for dirt, like I was talking about earlier, for medium dirt. So I wonder if by doing this, yeah, looks like. All right, just had to reorder a few of those. I don't know why I keep forgetting to change my selection after that. It's a pretty minor inconvenience in the grand scheme of things. Oops. All in all, a fairly simple process, thanks to DF's script. But right now we're just organizing. Actually masking out all this stuff is going to be a bit of a different beast. So if we jump into plating was the first one we really wanted to work on, so... in this case, we want... We're also going to need the higher one, but it's okay. We can get that after this. I think we just do away with any details we can't incorporate relatively seamlessly. Like if we're just going to mask out the layers like that, this stuff ought to go, in my opinion. We can add a little bit of a fine-tune thing here. Smooth out the transition a bit. One of the things that I like about this sort of partial masking approach is that you actually retain a lot of the shading and smaller color details, like depth details, without the cost of painting it yourself. It's not quite as like good of a port without doing it all yourself. But that being said, in terms of like the time spent, right, it's pretty low cost as far as an approach goes. And the results aren't horrible. These particular tiles are a little bit difficult to merge together because they are it is merging two different styles of terrain, so a little bit more challenging than one might expect. Or, you know, they're just not as compatible as they could have been, but that's not that big of a deal to me. Worst thing that happens is that it's a bit of a failed experiment or something, but I think we'll find use for the tiles that I'm making. What really set us back a lot in the early stages of Tileset development was the fact that we couldn't actually reliably do tests, like actually import them and then add them to a map or whatever, because we were operating under some pretty finite resources. Like, you couldn't delete mega tiles or mini tiles or anything like that. So you actually didn't have that much freedom when it came to that sort of thing, which I think was a really big problem, personally. Sometimes I like to zoom out a little bit. Take these things to task. Just because it lets me actually see what the... This is about the resolution you would be at. Well, maybe it's closer to this. In-game. So I like to zoom out in that respect. I'm finding that on these south-facing cliffs, it feels like it's a bit easier for me to cut some of the high dirt in, so that it almost looks like it's gotten all over the place. Like, it's almost like sand or something. Like, so rather than retaining a lot of the original shape like I had to with the north-facing cliff, this is an area where I can do like this, for example. Because we don't need to keep the entire shape superbly defined here. Since we've gotten rid of what was essentially the outline in the first place, we can kind of cut in a bit more. Like, I can already tell you over here where I'm so close to the inner border, like, that's just going to get cut into completely, I think. It's obviously a very different style of mask compared to what I would be doing to if I was trying to blend this with something more artificial. But since we're blending it with an organic tile, I'm cutting in more than I would otherwise. A couple of other things are a little bit different as well. But yeah, in this case, we're just kind of... We don't want to lose too many details, especially towards the sides, because obviously that will be bad for blending with the other tiles that we have. But like right now, I feel like the cuts have not been superbly graceful. We'll fill in a little bit more. Fill in some of the borders around so it looks a little bit less like it just got chomped. And I think we'll... I think that's all right. But yeah, it's a lot of detail work around these sides. And then I think we're good. By the way, so much for this being low-hanging fruit. This is going to take a little while. Especially if I get arrested in the middle of it. I wonder if keeping those blue pieces that jump into the area would have actually been better, and then just having the dirt sort of envelop them. Might have been a smoother approach, broadly speaking. Yeah, I think if we might need to go for a more defined outskirts on the south side, because it really doesn't blend very well with the one that I have on the north side, which is more defined. So in these cases where they meet, it's a clear contrast there. And it's not a good one, in my opinion. Yeah, that might be better. All right. Let's try that one on for size, I guess. Main problem is that these panels are not quite where they ought to be. So maybe tracing the panels themselves is a better idea. I don't think so. I think we need to keep to a line of some sort. What's up, Dark Matter Brood War? If you're talking about iScript, yeah. I have documentation on that. Well, my server is all about Starcraft. Well, not the entire thing isn't about Starcraft, but a good amount of it is. And we have a dedicated text channel for technical questions, so you could at least post there, and maybe I'll know the answer, and maybe somebody else will. Cool. Any reason other than for fun that you're doing the renderer? Like, what would you end up using it for? Oh, well, I hope it works out for you. Unfortunately, we have. I don't think there's any lasting modifications you'll be able to do to remaster due to how often it breaks internally. But maybe it'll work out anyway. I don't know. I guess it depends on the scope of the tool that you're talking about. Still not really sold on that seam, and it clearly has some issues where we're going to have to find some sort of cutoff. I actually think that the simplest option is the one that's been staring me in the face the entire time. Yeah, 116 is the most stable version, I believe. certainly the most feature-rich version. Yeah, right now I'm just doing some custom tiles. I have the map open on this side. I've been porting a bunch of stuff from other tile sets to the space tile set. I've created this sort of asteroid style natural tile, and I'm going to make some bridges between the default platforms and stuff. But actually placing every single one of the custom tiles that you see is like manually placed because we don't have the ability to actually have custom tiles placed in the isometric manner that you normally place tiles. So I blocked out a bunch of stuff. All of this weird looking platform stuff is going to be custom eventually. I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. But I'm trying not to spend too much time on the individual things because I'm only going to be using the space platform tile set once in the entire like campaign. So it feels a little excessive, I guess. But I guess the tools will be there if anybody else wants to make other maps with them. All right, so despite the fact that we're kind of low on shading, I think this will still work out fine. And the added benefit of being easily copy-pastable. Love that. Big fan. The fuck? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty dangerous for me to get lost trying to put something together because let's just say when I get an idea that I think will be epic, it's pretty hard to stop me from actually pursuing it. And that's not always a good thing. Depending on what kind of timetable I'm looking at. Normally I don't care because I'm usually pretty like carefree when it comes to time limits, but I've set a timetable for this project of the 3rd of November. And you know, it seems to be sneaking up on me. Can't believe we're already almost halfway through September. The red layer is the mask, so I just have it. That's the masking out the default terrain. I just have it highlighted as red so that I can see what's masked out and what isn't. Thanks. Mwah. Oh, here's an epic one. We're gonna have to mix and match. The first thing that can't be easily copy pasted. So we need this for the lower layer, and then like, I guess a bit of that. Ah, never mind. It was super easy. No problem at all. Yeah, December is the month where we're going to be working on our own engine. Since we are all fed up with how limited Brood War is. So... I don't actually know if we need this redundancy set. I think the only reason why that's there normally is because of the border bits, which we masked out, so we probably don't need that, but that's okay. Well, at the end of it, you'll be a bit better versed in programming, and maybe you'll have made something useful for yourself and others. You may as well give it a shot. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so now we just need to grab a layer of higher dirt, if that's even possible. I think I made a canvas for that at some point. Yeah, looks like I did. All right, so we're good there. Shit, man, I don't even know where the installation stuff is. Oh, the mask is probably in here. Subpanels, subplating. Oh, it looks like I I appear to have saved the PSD without, like, I overwrote it at some point, so that's not even that useful. We might be able to take the exact same mask that we did for something else. Well, I don't know. I'll probably just want to redo it entirely, but that's okay. Good luck. See you later. Have a good one. Man, yeah, what that guy was talking about earlier with large aspirations, I sympathize with that. I mean, that's basically been the fucking story of my life. That's why I've released so few things. So we got subpanels, edge, dirt. And I guess we can save this as subpanels edge for now. All right, so we can take subpanels off of that and high platform off of that. So the only other thing was subplating. And then obviously there's the high platform cliff thing. And this is bound to be fun and exciting. Oh, wait. I don't think I have any canvases of that platform. I don't even have the source tiles pulled. SMH. Okay. I wonder what the tileset script would even do to this. Pretty good. All things considered. This one was actually pretty easy to put together, thankfully. Because I did not feel like doing a crazy amount of work there. This is a case where we might have to mask most of this stuff with the red overlay because it's actually quite difficult to see the specific changes. Yeah, I feel like it's easier to keep track of what it is I'm actually masking with this mode. You know, this surprisingly went super quick compared to what I expected. I thought this was going to be a very long process. I mean, not that I'm probably not even halfway done yet, but I didn't think I would be able to get here even that quickly. We will probably have to do a little bit of adjustments here and there, like shading and stuff. Particularly, I'm thinking like this pipe or whatever was probably supposed to have some sort of shading associated with it. We're gonna have, like, when I mask out all this stuff where there's a bunch of darker pixels, we're gonna have a similar, gonna be in a similar position basically. Should be able to copy and paste most of the initial layers here as well, though. Like, once we're done with these south-facing cliffs, I think we can combine them with the north-facing mask, similar to what I did with the plating earlier. Theoretically, we should be good to do that. And here, this is fine. We don't even need to worry about masking anything there. So yeah. Just small adjustments here and there, nothing crazy. And I think we're good to go for now. Obviously, I'll do the rest of those later. Maybe on stream, maybe off stream, we'll see. But I'm going to set the stream down for now. Thanks everybody who tuned in today. Be back tomorrow for another one. See you then.